Hello all, welcome back. Well, something a little different for today. My daughter, oh my god, the state of these, borrowed these off me recently. None of them work. Now I'm 99% certain what's wrong. So let's fix them. Right, so as I said, my daughter borrowed these, and those that are not educated, that is the PS3 6-axis DualShock controller. Now, I am 99.9% certain I know what's up with it. It's got to be the battery, because it's not accepting any charge in any way, shape or form. And obviously because of that, they're not working. So I'm fairly confident that it's the battery that's knackered on these. Now, to give you an idea of how old these are now, and obviously the battery, how old the battery is inside it. These came out in 2006 and were the preferred controller till 2008. So these are actually anywhere between 14 and 16 years old. I think the batteries have done really well. But like all things, got to come to an end. Now, there's pros and there's cons about stuff like this, the built-in batteries. There's loads of people out there that prefer the Xbox controllers because you can just, well, stick in a normal, I think it's AA battery. I think, is it 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them? I can't remember. I think it's 2 off the top of my head. But anyway, there's pros and cons to both systems. The pro for this is it's a battery, it's already there, and you haven't got to worry about replacing it for certainly a number of years. The con is you've got to charge it, you've got to remember to charge it. And with all these type of batteries, they'll only last so long, i.e. so many charging times. Now, for me, that's not really that much of a con. When you look at certainly just replacing batteries, well, what happens to those batteries? Half the time, they get put into a landfill. I don't care what you're saying. You try to be, as environmentally friendly as possible, but let's be honest, the majority of them all go into a landfill. They can be reused, but it's an expensive process. And you're replacing them, well, I suppose that depends on how often you game, on how quickly you replace them. So, loads of people... In fact, let me just grab that controller up there. If you're like me, you opt for the Venom batteries, so you can just charge them up. So you're not having to prat about replacing batteries all the time. But anyway, back to this. So I'm basically just going to open this up and replace the battery. It's that easy. So, we all know how to undo screws, don't we? You've got to have the right tool for it, let's be honest. In this, there's what, 3, 4, 5 screws. Yeah, go on, you could see the L's there. You're not daft. But, it took me forever to find my screwdriver. Originally, I grabbed this. This is a tool set from Armeg. They don't sponsor me in any way, shape or form. But that is a cracking tool set. I've used this for tons of stuff over the years now. Brilliant quality tool set. But none of those bits are small enough. So I end up finding Old Faithful. Because there's actually only 2, maybe 3 tools you're going to need for this. So let's open her up. The first is the screwdriver. I mean, this is, what's that? It's a pH.0. Those that are more technical than me will know what it is. I still call this a Phillips screwdriver, but it's a very thin one so that you can get into those holes. That's the first thing you're going to want. Second thing you're going to want, maybe, if you can't get the connectors out, tweezers or long nose pliers. And then the last thing you're going to want, when I first heard of this, I thought somebody was taking the piss. It's a spudular. That is a spudular. Basically, what this is, you need to get in between the two bits of plastic. Let's get this out of the way. You need to get this in between the seam. You see the seam there? You need to get it in between and help prise this apart. This is actually made of a soft plastic, so it will bend, it will break, and after a while you do have to replace them. But you'd rather have all the damage go on this than this. And it is called a spudular. I haven't got a clue who came up with that name. I thought somebody was taking the piss, but then when I googled it, yes, these are brilliant. I've normally got plenty of these hanging around the house. And that's all you need. So I'm not going to show you opening the thing up because we all know how to undo screws. So I'm going to skip to that part now. Right, all the screws are out bar one. I think it's held in place with a bit of cack. But not to worry. So the next job is to just get it apart. Now, I can't remember if there's one particular area. I've always started round about where you hold it, in all fairness. So I'm going to start there. I just can't remember where you're supposed to begin on these. And to be honest, looking at it, it's probably being held... Oh, God, there you go. It's probably being held together by a load of cack anyway. Right, that came apart quite easy. And it's just a case of doing that all the way round. Just using that tip, working your way in between. But once you get it apart, try and keep it apart with your fingers. Now, you don't want to be putting a ton of force on this, but at the same time, you need to get the damn thing apart. So sometimes it is, see, it's clamped back together there. It's a pain sometimes. It's a little bit of trial and error. In fact, let's just try this side. That's come apart completely there. A little bit of trial and error at times, and then all of a sudden it will just pop off. I could tell looking at this, it's being held round about here somewhere. But like I say, the spudula's made of a soft plastic, which means that any damage is only going to happen to the actual... Oh, did we get it apart then? Because we have just popped it there. I mean, obviously that's come off. That'll just clip back on. Looks like it's being held in place at the bottom again. Because what can happen when you're trying to take these apart, if you've ever done it before, you know the problem. They'll clip back together. Oh. There's me trying to be clever, get the whole thing done in camera. Oh, come on, you swine. Just pop apart now. As you can see, we're almost there. It's apart there, it's apart there. It's apart there. Oh, was that it then? Or did it just clamp back together again? Just this bottom bit, which is being a bit awkward now. It's always the way when you're on camera. Nothing goes to plan. I'm putting a little bit more force than what I would normally do, because I really do want this to come apart now. Ah, there we go. Right, we've got it apart. Let's just look at the bit at the front there. Yeah, I remember that now. So, right, there we go. It looks a bit more nasty than what it was, but I've got it apart. And as you can see, the battery just sits on this little white plastic housing there. But that's what the inside of your control looks like. There's your rumble. So what I'll do is, I've got some compressed air. I'll grab that in a second. We'll give this a clean up, and then we'll start looking at getting it back together. Right, good slurp of tea, because you've been tangoed. That's the most important thing. No matter what, have a mug of tea ready, because you will get a bit stressed at one point. Now, what I've just realised is, where did that little... No, it's still in there. That little annoying screw that didn't come out. There we go. So I'll stick that now with the others. So that's all the screws. It is also... It's plenty dirty. I mean, I can see all sorts of crusty bits that build up on these things. So, bit of isopro. Sorry, the glare's absolutely terrible. Isopro. And I bought my air buster. Now, air's air. Compressed air is air. Don't be fooled by paying a fortune for this stuff. So let's get the battery off first of all. And let's be honest, I'm not over fussed about the old battery. So I am just going to try and pull it off by hand. I'm not even bothered if I'm using the wires, in all fairness, to yank this off. Oh, but it's stubborn. It's very stubborn. Right, let's get in there then with the long nose pliers. Just grab it by the plastic and pull. There you go, it's off. Right, let's have a look at the battery. When these things start to go bad, there is some bulging that would happen. Now, in all fairness, I can't see any on this. I can't see any whatsoever, if I'm going to be really honest with you. Now, reading it, lithium or ion, it's lithium ion battery pack, 3.7 watts. Now, that's 610 amp hours. 610 amp hours is some of the important stuff, because if you can get one with bigger, that means the charge will last longer. And I'm really sorry about the glare. I might just shut the curtains. But that's the battery I've taken off. So I can say, I can't see any bulging. Let's just shut the curtains a little bit. Try and stop the glare a bit. That's a bit better, a little bit darker, but can't have it all roads. Now, replacement batteries. I've bought a load of these. Because one, they're cheap. UK seller. It's only cost me £5. Comes with a charging lead. More importantly, comes with a battery. Now, the difference between these two batteries, the main two differences. So I'm just looking at them side by side at the moment, just checking it. Same voltage, but it's the amp hours. Are they more? Yes, they are, way more. So this old one, which is the dark grey, this old one, is 600, it's actually 610. This one's 1,800. So it's a better battery. Way better. Should last longer. Sorry, that's not right. The battery won't last as long as this. They'll last as long as each other. But what this will do is it'll hold the charge longer, basically. So That's why I've gone for this battery. And it's only going to be a case of plugging it back in, screwing it all back together. But what I'm going to do before that is I'm going to give it a clean. And to do that, all it is a bit of Isopro. Of which what I tend to do is just fill the cap up a little. So I'm not using tons of it. I've then got an old toothbrush and some paper towels in case I really do make a mess. So I've got the paper towels there at the ready. Let's get that out of the way. Just dip it in. So obviously you're getting it wet. And then just work your way along the edges like that. That's all you have to do to give it a nice clean on those edges. And then when you're done, just get your paper towel, give it a wipe. And that will clean it up. I'm going to do the rest of that now, and then I'll get ready to putting it back together. Right, we've got the battery in. Sorry, I've had to reopen the curtains because I can't see. And straight away, as you can see, we have now got power where we didn't have it before. So it's a case of me now, because I've obviously knocked the PlayStation button. It's a case of me getting this back together, plugging it in, giving it a test. Right, got it back together. Oh, believe me, because this is an older design, what you've got is you've got a piece of plastic right smack there in the middle, and it's an absolute pain in the arse to get it back on. But anyway, I've got it back together. I've put one screw in, but I've not stopped tightening yet because this is important. What you should do is, don't suddenly start screwing these things back together. Twist it anti-clockwise first of all, until you feel a click. Then when you feel that click, that means the thread of the screw and the thread of the plastic is aligned up perfectly. Only then start tightening up. Right, you know how to put screws together. Let's just quickly get that done and get this finished. Right, that's a successful fix. I've actually got the one I've just repaired now on charge downstairs. But let's be honest, getting hold of legitimate, and I use that word quite sparingly, because even I've picked up the fake ones before now. These handle and work so much better. And that's all it is. That's all it is. If all of a sudden they don't charge, it's the battery. The battery's working great. Like I say, it's on charge now on my PlayStation downstairs. So that's a fix. And it's cost me my own time and £5. Even to buy, oh God, a fake controller, you're going to be spending between 20 and 30 quid. If you can use a screwdriver, you can repair these things. It's that simple. It really is. Save yourself some money. I've got another 3 batteries I need to fit, so that's my afternoon taken up. Take you, depending on how good and how quick you are, it could take you anything between 10 minutes and 30 minutes per controller. But once you start getting used to it and you can clip everything back together, it's an absolute piece of piss. Save yourself some money. Right, hope that was educational. Hope I've helped you. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting. I'll catch you all again. Take care.